Good morning, friends. This is John with Real Property Management. Many times landlords ask us, should I accept pets? Should we take animals into our house? Don't they cause damage? Aren't there problems with pets? I've had problems with pets in the past. Do I really want to accept pets into my rental property? So let's go through that a little bit today, and let me walk you through also our approach to handling pets. So first of all, there are two different types of animals. There are pets, which are truly just a household pet, and then there are assistance animals. Assistance animals are for those that require assistance, handicapped people, people with special needs. There are laws and ordinances around the acceptance of those animals and rules around what you can do in terms of compensation for accepting those animals. We're not going to go through too much of that today, but what we are going to talk about is strategy on how to deal with these two situations. So first of all, historically, landlords have charged pet rent. And the thinking is, well, I'll charge a little bit extra rent to cover potential damage and to deal with the hassles of HOAs, neighbor complaints, other issues regarding having a pet in the property. And when a landlord was self-managing, that could make some sense because you're compensating yourself for the added expense, liability, and potential damage. The challenge with that, though, is when you introduce a third-party property manager, the dynamics shift a little bit. If you don't actively manage a pet, the pet is going to cause problems. So what do I mean by actively manage? Well, there's a fair amount of work that goes into selecting that animal, screening that animal, and dealing with the day-to-day issues, inspections, making sure they're not causing damage, dealing with neighbor complaints, homeowner associations, the paperwork, licensing, things of that nature. Now, in today's world, about 70% in our experience of applicants have some kind of an animal, either a pet or an assistance animal. So not having a strategy around this or having a policy of we don't take pets because of the potential damage, and again, the reason you'd have these damage and problems is because you're not actively managing that pet. So some people just say no pets because of that fear or lack of management. But because 70% of applicants have animals, you don't want to eliminate that potential pool. Now, it's our experience that A+ tenants, those tenants that have great credit, good financial background, nobody's chasing after them for debt collections or things of that nature, that those applicants tend to have their financial life put together. And if they have their financial life put together and they're paying attention, they're paying their bills, they tend to also be paying attention to their children, making sure that their children are behaving, making sure that their children are taking care of the property. But it also means that they select good animals. They have good pets because they know that a good pet makes a good family member and will take care of the property, and they make sure that that pet takes care of the property through training, through obedience, through other things. And so if you select your tenant properly, you tend to get animals that are also well-behaved and animals that don't cause damage. And if they do, the owner is financially responsible and has the sensitivity to make sure that those things get handled properly. Okay. They pick up after their dog. They don't let them violate the HOA rules, things of that nature. Okay. Now, when you introduce a third party, such as a property management company, you wind up shifting a lot of that responsibility to the property manager. Property manager now screens the animal. There's cost in doing that. We use a third-party screening service that includes lawyers that can determine effectively and legally whether this animal is an assistance animal and falls under the HUD guidelines, Housing and Urban Development Guidelines, or it's a scam and they're trying to avoid the pet rules or what have you, and they're using fake documents. So we use a third party with lawyers that properly screen that. We screen for the vaccinations, make sure that they're in compliance with the city ordinances. We screen for aggressive behavior, for police calls, for bites, things of that nature, so that when we do accept an animal, that animal we know is a safe animal and one that's going to have good behavior. Now, again, I've said this before, maybe on earlier videos, but it's our experience that children wind up causing more damage than pets, at least the pets that we accept. We can't screen out children, but they tend to do things that animals don't. They stick things down holes that it doesn't belong. They spill things on carpet and don't tell their parents. They draw on the walls. They do things that most animals don't. And because of that, we look at animals in a way where if we can better manage that animal, we can have more success. Okay, so your non-exempt animals, those are the animals that are considered household pets. We pay the third party to make sure that they're screened properly. We then charge the tenant for up to 3 pet inspections. So we are charging the tenant for the benefit of keeping a pet, but we're keeping that money because we're the ones doing the screening, we're the ones doing the active management, we're the ones that are responding to the HOA complaints, the neighbor complaints, any of those issues that come up. And we will deal with all of that. We'll deal with the city for the licensing and that. And for the landlord, we increase the security deposit, about 30% per animal. So that protects you from potential damage. We eliminate most of the damage just through the screening and then the inspections. But if there is damage, there's additional security deposit. And our company stands behind our decisions, our selection decisions, by adding another $1,000 on top of the security deposit as a credit for you in the event that the damage exceeds that security deposit. We guarantee that we will have damage-free pets. And so that benefits you, protects you, but yet still compensates us for all the work that we do in this mix. So with that, please allow pets. Don't let pets be a reason not to, don't be afraid of the damage or the potential issues to not allow pets, because it's an important part of a renter today. 70% have pets, and it's important to allow them, but it's also important to compensate us for the work that we do to protect you. Thank you. Have a great day.